How long will you live? What is your life expectancy? At what age should you retire? What are you going to do after you retire? The big question is, how do you know you're going to be healthy enough to do what you plan to do when you retire? And how do you know how long you're going to live? Welcome back to Your Time to Travel. I'm Karl.
And I'm Tina.
And in today's episode, we're going to discuss some important stuff about life expectancy, lifespan, the 10-year, or I should say the decade of decline, and when should you retire in order to enjoy the fruits of your labor? Or should you work until you're too sick to do anything else? And then what happens from that point? So let's get into it. And this kind of goes into one of the things where we all say what we're going to do. We're going to retire, right? We all say we're going to travel the world. We're going to go see this. We're going to go see that. And then next thing you know, the only thing we do in retirement is go to the doctor, go to the pharmacy.
Yeah.
And we all have retired friends and older friends and family members. What is the main topic of discussion? The main topic is, yeah. And so that's what retirement turns into, the ailments and what's needed and how many medications do we need to pick up. And how long have you been working since what age?
Oh, since like 13.
Okay, 13. I've been working since I was 15. So how long do we want to be retired versus how long we worked? We've seen like high profile people and they talk about, man, this is all I know how to do. This is all I know. Working is all I know. You hear that when it comes to like football coaches or professional sports coaches. That's all I know. I'm going to work until I can't work anymore. And then next thing you know, within a couple of years, they're gone. And then we need to talk about this whole decade of decline, because just because you retire at a certain age doesn't mean you have good years left, right?
Right.
And so there's a lot of indicators. So let's go with some stats that I pulled from some studies done by Harvard and the Stanford Health Inequality Project. And a lot of life expectancy has something to do with wealth, lifestyle, ethnicity, and racial demographics, and of course exercise and diet. But on average, let's talk about life expectancy of a U.S. citizen. The average life expectancy is about 77 and a half years, with the women being on the higher end of that, going towards 80 years old. Okay. Now remember, lifespan and life expectancy. Lifespan is more based on healthy years. So how many healthy years do we have? That's the lifespan. That's what's really important. And I don't think we all think about that. So if the life expectancy is 77 and a half, and there's a decade of decline, which means the decade of decline pretty much says at some point after 70, if you're lucky, your muscle mass and your cognitive function will rapidly decline. And you start having health issues, which can be a number of different things. And so we have a whole decade of decline. And when that starts, our lifespan has ended. So now we're just on our very steep trajectory downward. So we want to talk about that because it's something to think about. Life expectancy is 77. Retirement age is 65. If you're healthy, what's that give you? 2 years to travel the world, right? It gives you 2 years. It's like, okay, I just worked since I was 13 to 15 years old. I've been saving all this money, building up this 401k. I got this nice pension. I'm saving all this money to give it to who?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, am I really about to work my ass off for all these years to do something for 2 years if I'm healthy? And then if you're healthy and then somebody else gets to spend all my money, how does that make you feel when you saw all these statistics?
Oh, it made me feel glad that we got out of that race, that mindset, because there are so many people that stay till retirement age, and who really probably don't need to stay until 62, 65, and they're trying to get that bump in their social security so they stay a little bit longer. And they're counting on being healthy when they retire. But the older you get, the less likely it is that your health is going to be good. And I've seen that so many times as I got older and working in the same place for so long, and seeing people age and retire. And as soon as they retire, to have a serious health issue, or their partner, spouse have a serious health issue, and they worked years and dedicated years of their life to a profession, and then at the end of it are unable to enjoy any of it, all of the fruits of their labor. And so seeing that so frequently, I think really changed my mindset, that I wanted to do something to get out of that. I didn't want that to be my story.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I know one of the reasons why I decided to retire from law enforcement when I did, it was seeing what was happening to a lot of my coworkers.
Yeah.
Cancer, heart disease, diabetes, just the stresses of the job, and we're going to go over the stats of what the stats show as far as life expectancy for first responders and military personnel, medical people, and people with high stress jobs. We're going to see what the life expectancy is for those. I'm going to talk about what the life expectancy is for those people. And it kind of makes you think, it gives you pause. Because if you're already having health issues and you're young, oh man, it's like, oh, these are warning signals. These are clues. These are
Yeah.
definite clues. So wealth. Let's start with the wealth gap. So, by the way, only 35% of Americans understand the lifespan, whole aspect of life. Besides just talking about life expectancy, the whole lifespan. How many healthy years of life do we get versus how many years of life do we get? So, but let's talk about the wealth gap. There's a huge disparity in life expectancy based on your wealth. Wealth is access. Wealth is knowledge. So, the top 1% of men versus the bottom 1% of men have a 14.5-year gap in life expectancy, according to different studies that have been done. Think about
Yeah.
that.
That's
It's pretty
incredible.
sad. Yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
And the wealthiest counties in America versus the poorest counties in America have a 7-year gap in life expectancy. So, and if you see on a map the wealthiest parts of our country versus the poorest part of our countries, you can see who's doing hard manual labor, low wage worker versus a high wage earner, and the lifestyles they're living. And there's a 7-year gap between those two people in their average life expectancy. Okay. And these are studies that are done. And so if you look in our description for this podcast episode, you'll see the links and the sources of all this information. So please go check it out for yourself and make adjustments to your plans for retirement if you see fit. Okay. Now let's talk about stuff that I've been involved with, military and first responders, and things that you've been involved with. So when it comes to military retirees, study was done back in 2015. And I doubt the data of stats have changed that much from 2015. So 10 years ago, a study came out, and it showed that the average life expectancy for military retirees was around 69 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's without being disabled. Now, for those that had 100% disability ratings in the military, it dropped down to 67 for men. And get this one, 63 years old for 100% disabled military women.
Wow.
Exactly. So the disabled women are living shorter lives than the disabled men from the military. I don't know why that is, but that's what the sources show, the stats show. And from law enforcement, life expectancy for law enforcement, retired law enforcement, 66 years old, less than the military. 66. Now, I have former coworkers that didn't even make it to 60. Some of them didn't make it a year after retirement, and they weren't 60. And of course, I
Mhm.
lost a lot of coworkers prior to their retirement for different health-related issues. Firefighters, anywhere from 67 to 77 years of age, life expectancy. And we see the pictures of like former presidents of the United States. You see the
Mhm.
before they went in office picture and
Yeah.
after they came out of office, and we see the
Yeah.
big age. And so the
Mhm.
research has shown that the high stress jobs affect your hormones and your cortisol levels, which speeds up the aging process tremendously. So the higher stress your job, the quicker you age. And yeah, it's just something to think about. So if you're one of those high stress jobs and you're always on the go and you're always stressed out, you're adding years to your life, you're aging yourself quicker. And guess what? You only get one life. You don't get a redo. You don't get a redo. Okay. So, any thoughts about any of that information? I mean, because you've seen some of your former coworkers when you retired from the medical field, and the high stress you guys had, and just how their lives deteriorated, which led to some of their
Mhm.
retirements or what happened to them as soon as they retired.
Yeah, as soon as they retired. 'Cause I think those fields, like, just you work different shifts, you're on call, you have, long hours, stressful hours, and so that all contributes to having poor health, unable to take care of yourself, not having the time to take care of yourself. And, yeah, seeing that is sad, especially, a case in particular. I started at the hospital, where I worked for over 25 years. I started there when I was in my 20s. And so my boss was probably in his 40s, and he worked there the entire time, 25 years. So I saw him age and retire. And once he retired, immediately had a health issue, a serious health issue. And you saw that with people, and it really did. It hit home. And I think it was the same for you, really seeing your coworkers that you work with so long, and you remember them when, you were young, they were young, and you looked up to them, and you just see that lifespan. And then you can almost see yourself following in those footsteps if you don't make a change. And so I think that, yeah, looking outside the box, the norm, trying to do something better for yourself, have a better life at the end. So I'm glad that we took that leap and retired.
Yeah, because I mean, I saw it. It definitely impacted my life. I realized how stressed out I was,
Hmm.
because of everything going on, and I was trying to learn from what I saw around me. I wasn't trying to think that it couldn't happen to me
Right.
because, the deaths of some of my coworkers was very shocking. It was like very shocking. I was just so surprised that some of the stuff was happening and when it was happening and who it was happening to. I was just like totally shocked. Um, so yeah. Here's another hard truth. Some more statistics. And like I said, please go to our website, um, and pick up some of our e-guides. Help you make this transition, or you can at least read about how to get started. Just go to our website, yourtimetotravel.life, pick up our e-guide, and the link will be in the description as well. So you can figure out how to start this life or think about it, contemplate, start planning. Because it took us about 2 years to pull the trigger after reading and studying about this way of life. But here's some other statistics, and people don't like to talk about this stuff, and they don't think it's real. But these are actual statistics. So let's go into race and ethnicity, and the life expectancies, and the gaps between the races and ethnicities. So, the highest life expectancy, people of Asian descent, around 85.7 years. Okay, Hispanics about 82.2 years. White, 78.9 on average. Blacks, 75.3 on average. And there's many factors behind this. And these are stats according to 2019. And I also have some other stats from a few years later. So let's go to 2022. So for some of these same groups, life expectancy has actually gone down. For the people that are considered white, it's dropped a whole year. Well, actually, yeah, it's dropped a whole year, 77. For people that are considered black, it's dropped down 2.5 years to on average 72.8 years life expectancy. It's getting worse. And the worst of all of the different ethnicities right now, according to these stats from 2022, are Native Americans with a life expectancy of 67.9 years. Okay. And there are many, many factors that go into this. We talked about the wealth gap. We talk about the type of work you're doing and your stress level in your life. So all these things have something to do with it. So here's the big question. It's like, how much money do we need in order to live a good life? I mean, I know we've been fed a dream. I know we all got caught up in chasing it, because we sure did. We were chasing that dream hard.
Mm-hmm.
But how much money do we need? Especially when you get out here and start traveling around, you get rid of all these possessions that you feel like you had to have. And then as you get older, they stop meaning anything to you. How much money do you need? And is there a better way of living the rest of your retirement years than just sitting in that house that you just couldn't wait to get? Are there other things that we could be doing and a better way of living? And I think we kind of found out the answer to that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. But I also think that different people want different things, but for us, we did not want to be those people that stayed at work too long. And then when you retire, that's all you have is the house that you bought 20 years ago.
Stressing us out was causing us health issues as quick as possible and start enjoying the fruits of our labor. And the question is, how much money do we need? That's the big question. Everyone says they want to travel. There are very few people that I've met that don't want to travel. We know a few people that don't want to travel, and I'm not sure what their reasons are. That would be a good question. Maybe we ought to have them on the podcast for an episode and find out, hey, what is it that makes people not want to travel?
Yeah.
But others want to see stuff and enjoy life. I think that's the thing everybody else says they want to do when they retire is travel, right? Isn't that the go-to line?
Yeah, they want to travel, have experiences. Have experiences and see the world. Yeah, so many beautiful places to go and see.
Yeah. So our jobs cause us stress. Certain professions cause us more stress. And there has been studies done by the Harvard School of Public Health around 2020 that talks about how certain types of jobs cause certain types of health problems. So for instance, manual labor causes early joint and heart problems. Desk jobs, you might live longer, but you'll have a higher metabolic risk. And we know what that means. That means you're sitting dormant, and we know what happens, right? I know before I quit working full time and we started doing this whole journey, I used to use a desk and stand up at my desk for pretty much the whole day, just to keep from sitting down and getting stiff and being in pain. So I would stand up most of my workday. You had a chance to walk around a lot,
Yeah.
Well, no. I guess you did have a chance to walk around a little bit.
We did have to. So talking about like the stress that jobs put us under, I think we operate at a certain level of constant stress that you don't even recognize or realize until you do retire how stressed you were. But I did get to a point in my job where I made myself go outside and take a walk, like at least for lunchtime. And then once, a quick walk, in the morning and then in the afternoon, just because you could sit at your desk for 10 hours a day and just honestly just sit there and work and work and work. So you had to make a conscious effort to get up and to move. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have to do something as quick as possible. Once you think you've secured the bag,
Mhm.
and we're talking about securing the bag based on a retirement income to travel abroad, not having things tying us down here locally, or like we
Right.
used to live. We're not trying to maintain two lifestyles. We're talking
Correct.
about stopping one lifestyle and living another life of traveling
Mhm.
around, enjoying life without being tied back down with unnecessary debt, financial burdens, which is
Mhm.
also stress. Okay. And we can say not having any of this stuff and having sold all that stuff is financially and mentally liberating. It is
Mhm.
absolutely wonderful. You realize that stuff didn't mean a whole lot to you after all. Seems like
Yeah.
it does, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not, because yeah, you accomplish your goal by getting something physical, materialistic, but
Mhm.
big picture, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
Who cares?
Okay. So let's talk about retiring as soon as it's financially possible for you as an individual. So, like we said, we did this for 2 years, looking into this whole slow travel lifestyle, retirement lifestyle. How much does it really cost? What are people spending out there? Looking up the information that was available, the cost of living in these different countries. We looked all this up, and we made the decision that at that very moment in time, we could afford to do this because America is one of the most expensive places to live in the world. So
Right.
our U.S. retirement dollars can give us a great life slow traveling abroad. And
Mhm.
we've been doing this for over a year, and we're not going back. We're not going back over there to buy homes and start working full time over there and buying cars. We're not doing it. I don't think it'll
Mhm.
ever happen again unless there's some catastrophe and all of a sudden our retirements are gone. I can't see it happening. Um, so, uh, because I did mention being financially ready to do it. That doesn't mean being rich.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean having millions of dollars saved up. Um, it
Right.
means it means having a budget that you can live with and maintain your same lifestyle while you're traveling abroad. Because we are definitely maintaining our same lifestyle that we
Mhm.
had, and we're living abroad without a
Right.
doubt. And it's
Right.
easier to do.
It is easier to do because I think that's the shift in mindset is that if like we wanted to retire, we did not want to work anymore. We saw the end of the tunnel, and where it was going. We wanted to make that change. And the only way we can make that change is if we left the United States and moved to a country where it was more affordable to live, where our money went further. Now, we couldn't retire and stay in the United States. We can't do that. So we had to make that shift if we want to stop working 9 to 5 and take care of ourselves, have experiences. It is possible if we leave the US and go to a more affordable country. Could we retire right now in the United States? No, we would be at work. We would be at work. So I think that's the shift in figuring out what do you want. And I'll give that analogy if I can that really really I mean, it became so crystal clear to me when I saw somebody demonstrate this probably on a YouTube video that if you took a straw, which is about this long, and it represents 70 for women, let's just say, 74 years, 77 years was the average, right? Life expectancy, 77. And you take this straw, and I'm 55, and I cut off 55 years. My straw is about this long. That's all I have left. And when I heard that, I was like, all of this is gone. I have this much to make the best of it. And the best is not working for somebody else 9 to 5, being stressed out. The best for me was going and seeing the world and having wonderful experiences. So that's what shifted in me when when I heard that kind of analogy, really put it in perspective for me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Seeing that, I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
that. That's a very humbling.
Yes. You
It
think you're like, I
that
only
makes
have
you
this
think,
much.
oh
That's not
yeah, I got all this time, but actually you got this much time.
you have that much.
You
You've
can
already wasted. Not wasted, but you've already used up all of that. And
you
so,
heard people joke around about how many summers you have left, how
yeah.
many Thanksgivings you have left.
Yeah, yeah. How many
But it's
summers?
true. It's true. How
Yeah.
many summers do you have left? It's true. And
Yeah.
so you're gonna spend all the rest of that time working, and then you only have 8 summers left. Eight
Right.
summers to do what? Go to the
Yeah.
doctor? So yeah, as soon as you're financially able to do it, and that
Mhm.
requires planning. That requires planning. Now
Mhm.
we could have retired in the United States at 60 something,
Yeah.
and then guess what? Life expectancy is 70 something.
Yeah.
Lifespan is less than that. So
Right.
yeah, but we would have had a few healthy years if we were lucky.
Mhm.
If we were lucky, we would have had a few healthy years. But anyway, so let's talk about some of the data from the CDC, and it talks about Americans on the average. This data came out in 2022. Says that the average American spends 10 years in poor health at the end of their life. The average American spends the last 10 years in poor health. Okay, so that means
Yep.
you work pretty much the most of your life, and the last 10 years are just unhealthy, stressful,
Yeah.
depressing, and you probably didn't do all the things you said you were going to do without all that money you made and saved up and invested. And now,
Right.
guess what? Somebody else is going to spend that money doing what you should have done.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to do it for you in remembrance of you, but you never had a chance to do
Mhm.
it. Yeah. So your active years, that's 10 years before your death. So if the average life expectancy is 77, 80 years old, for law enforcement, 66, statistically, I only have a couple of healthy years left statistically.
Right.
And that kind of, let's think about that. I only have, on average, according to stats, I only have a couple more years of healthy life left in me on average as a retired law enforcement officer. It's a little scary
Yeah.
to think about. That means the next 12 years or so of my life on average is spent going to the doctor in declining health. It's kind of a
Right.
scary thought. It's very scary. It's a very
Mhm.
scary thought. And I don't think that's how we want to go out, which is why we decided to sell all that stuff, pack it up, get on the airplane, and start seeing everything that we want to see. And it's been great. And I'm so glad we did it. And I know we can't change how we're living. But each year you delay retirement, you're taking away one of your healthy years. So let's just
Right.
think about that. Every year you delay retirement, if you're financially able to do the retirement, you are taking away one of your remaining healthy years of life. So
Mhm.
let's not try to make all the money. Let's try to get it where we can have a good life, because we need the memories. And going to hospice, bragging about your bank account or your portfolio, I'm sure your family and your next of kin are going to thank you very much.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you didn't enjoy the fruits of your labor. All right. So talk about some practical steps. There's a life expectancy calculator on the Social Security Administration's website. So you could take a look at it. And then once you figure out what your life expectancy is for you as an individual, subtract 10 years from that. And now you have your healthy life. You have your life span.
Mhm.
It's very humbling. And just remember, we're all humans. Some of us are going to be way above the average, and then some of us are going to be well below, which is
Right.
kind of how you get to an average. And we don't know how the game is going to play out. I mean, we
Mm.
can do things to try to stop it from happening. And let's talk about that a little bit. How can you do it? Well, financially, you make a plan, and hopefully, the plan works out for you within a couple of years, if not sooner. But hopefully the plan will work out for you where you decide, hey, man, we can shut this thing down now. We've always wanted to go to this country here, or we've always wanted to travel around. Man, you know what? If we didn't have all this debt here, we didn't have all these responsibilities, this house, this car, this and that, we could be doing all this stuff on the income that we already have guaranteed to come in for the rest of our lives.
Right.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that?
Yeah.
Because I remember, and we talked about this yesterday. I'm like, hey, remember when I used to think that what I wanted to do every day was put sports on 3 TVs and sit in my recliner and drink my alcohol. and that was a great day. Remember that? And then today, I barely watch sports.
Right.
I still love sports and appreciate sports, but it's not my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I'm not just sitting there dormant, putting alcohol in my body, making myself more unhealthy.
Right. Yeah. A lot of our time revolved around watching sports, and now we're living life now and having our own experiences, not watching sports.
Yeah. So there's a study that came out from Fidelity back in 2023, and it said that 60% of people can retire earlier than they think.
Yeah.
All you got to do is make a slight adjustment in their spending habits.
Mm-hmm.
2/3 of people can retire earlier than they plan on it with just some slight adjustments in the way they handle their finances, especially if you have a plan, whether that be a certified financial planner, which we're not. So make sure you get professional advice before you do anything. And we have come up with some financial plans with that financial planning and using AI platforms to help us formulate plans. And so, you can come up with plans using AI to pay off debt. You can ask it based on your personal situation and your finances, how long will it take you to be financially ready and how you should plan to go about it based on certain parameters. You can use AI to help you, certified planners. You can do so many things to help you prepare. If you're serious about, what, I've done this enough. I think I have enough money to sustain me if I'm not living a certain lifestyle. If I decide I want to go travel, or I just want to go retire to a whole different country that has a lower cost of living altogether, which is what a lot of people do. Most people aren't doing what we do. Most people just say, you know what, I'm going to go retire to this other country. Cost of living is a third or a fourth less than what I'm doing now. But in the meanwhile, what can you do is try to preserve your health. And it's one of the things that we have concentrated on, is by preserving our health and improving our health and not working full time 5-6 days a week has allowed us to get healthy by being able to spend so much time taking care of our personal bodies physically and our mind by having a workout program and then being able to stick to it without having to worry about having to be at work all the time. And it's made us so much healthier. The best health we've had pretty much in our life as far as physical health and our diet. And I think it's keeping us in a good place.
Right. We're pushing off that 10-year decline. So we're pushing it off. Yeah, because when you're working, I think both of us have always been healthy, making healthy choices, tried to go work out. But it's hard. It's hard to be dedicated. It's hard to be consistent when you're working and raising a family. And when you do make that leap to retire, you can devote all of that time to taking care of yourself. Finally, to getting up every day and going to the gym, which we enjoy. We love to go to the gym and work out and eat healthy, and the food is much cleaner here in the countries that we're in. The food is cleaner, and it's just overall health is just so much better.
Yeah, and it's definitely changed our life. We feel much better. We're in better shape. get on the
Yeah.
scale and do our body scans, it's way better. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And I think we are prolonging the 10-year decline.
Yeah.
We feel pretty good.
Oh,
We're able to hustle through airports when we're running short on time between
yeah,
flights. We're
that's the
able to
goal.
pick up and carry our own suitcases. We're able to put our bags in the storage bin,
Yeah.
above our seat on the airplane, and it's not too heavy. We're
Yeah.
able to go up and down stairs. We're still able to do all these things that I guess as young people we kind of take it for granted. But when you start
Young
getting
people.
older, you see a set of stairs. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
young
As older
people, when
people,
you do take that for granted, but as you get older and your muscles get weaker and you don't use them, climbing a set of stairs is not the easiest thing for people that are our age and not much older. So we're trying to combat that and fight that. And taking that leap, making that change definitely helps.
yeah. And let's say, we talked about it in a previous video where we see a lot of young people out here doing this, and they're at such an
Mhm.
advantage that they're out here working remotely, working for themselves as some kind of digital nomad, or they have
Yeah.
a skill set that
Yeah.
allows them to be in another place, living a good life, stress-free living while they're working remotely. There's a lot of people out here doing that. We were
Yeah.
very surprised at the young people that have taken a
Hmm.
leap of faith. People out here in their 20s have left their home countries and they're just out here living their best life, took a leap of faith because it doesn't cost as much to be out here. And they're
Right.
having good food, good time, great living accommodations. The social network is very strong versus
Yeah.
just sitting in one spot and having to chase a dream that somebody else made for us. And that's one thing we realized, that this was not a dream we made for ourselves. This is the dream that we were taught. And we
Right.
didn't know anything, we didn't know any other way because we had no other information until we got older. And we were like, you know what? Is this my dream or is this somebody telling me what my dream is supposed to be?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it went, and then we realized this is not actually our dream, because once
Yeah.
we actually achieved someone else's dream, we were still not fulfilled. We were still not totally happy.
Right. Yeah. It would never be my dream to work for somebody else until I was 65 or 67. That's definitely not my dream.
Yeah, yeah, and then you only have 2 years of healthy living on
Yeah.
average, and then all you're doing is going to the doctor while your health is declining, and
But
you never had a chance to do anything but work.
yeah, that is what we're taught, what you think is expected, what that is what you think life
Yeah.
is that working
Yep.
until you're 65, 67, retiring and yeah.
Yeah. So one thing you cannot control is you can't control your lifespan. I mean, you can do things to mitigate it, but you can't control your health span. You can
Mhm.
control your health by living as good as you possibly can and mitigating all the things that will hurt you, as far as the stresses of the job, the financial aspects. And man, if we knew what we know now way 10, 15 years ago, I wonder when we would have actually have done this. I know I would have pulled the trigger even sooner. If I
Yeah.
knew about this life, I would have pulled the trigger years sooner,
Mhm.
for sure, no doubt. Um, but veterans, military veterans, and first responders, people in the medical field, and people with these high stress jobs, um, no matter where you are and how many years you've been doing this, might want to start planning now, because when that decade of decline hits, it's tough. It's tough to mitigate it. It's tough to fight it.
Yeah.
And so, um, I would challenge all of you and challenge ourselves to do everything we can to fight off when that decade of decline starts. And getting rid of all your stressors and taking care of your physical and your mental health are the ways to prolong that decade, because a decade of decline will happen. It's just a matter of when is it going to happen. Is it going to happen in your 40s? Is it going to happen in your 50s, your 60s, or is it going to happen in your 70s or even your 80s? And for the most part, we can mitigate a lot of it, but none of us know our life expectancy. but man, we can sure do things to try to mitigate
Yeah.
stuff that's in our control.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so that's the challenge. Um, Go to our website, yourtimetotravel.life. See this slow travel guide to help you get started with your preparation to get out of the rat race and maybe start traveling around, seeing some stuff, enjoying the fruits of your labor. Or even if you're a digital nomad or a remote worker, maybe this information can help you as well. But it can give you a mindset of, you know what, there is more to life than going to work on somebody's job until you're too old to do anything else. Maybe this could help you make this transition quickly or slowly. It's up to you and how quickly you can get yourself prepared. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is our story. You know, retire with intention. You know, start before your decade of decline. Start before you can't walk through an airport. Start
Hmm.
now. Start your preparation now. Um, Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this information to others that may need it or need to hear it. And always remember that it's your time to travel.